Hello and welcome back. This is now part 26 of how to make a HexTile board game in Unreal Engine 5. As a reminder, I do have a Discord. I'll link it down in the description, but feel free to join. Good place to ask questions if you kind of run into issues throughout this tutorial. But in the last video, we continued with the Econ progression. So we made these widgets that pop up. So depending on the number of farms you have, number of mines, you get X amount of supply, X amount of gold. We also decided that the keep will give you some supply and gold by default. And that's where we ended it. I think what I want to do next, right, in the top right we have our player card. What I want to do is add in the supply and the number of keeps into this card, so that you're kind of always aware, right? Because you need to know how much gold you have, how much supply you have, and then all your other stats. So we're missing two key components of that. So that's where we're going to start in today's video. So where we'll start then is the player card. So open up your player card widget. So really, what we're missing here is we're missing our supply, and we're missing our number of keeps. So we have to add in two more elements. We've got five if you count the player name, but there are four icons already. I think what might make the most sense is really add another row, have this player name be across the top, and then go sacred sites, gold, supply, and then keeps, farms, mines, or maybe farms, mines, keep at the end. I don't know, but I think that gives us the best structure for this. So, which means we're gonna have to change the size. And so, oh yeah, we have our height up here. So right now we're at 200 by 75, 200 width. We might be able to make this less wide, actually, but we'll do that at the end. But we're probably gonna need a height of, I don't know, 125 maybe for now, and then we'll switch that later. So then I'm just going to copy one of these horizontal boxes, this bottom one actually, and paste that into our vert box. Okay, so now we've got our rows. And what I want to do, a lot of this is going to have to be reorganized, but the most important thing, right, is for other players and for yourself is the sacred sites. So that makes sense to be first. I think here is where I want my gold. So how do we do this? We do this by horizontal boxes. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to rename these as we go, but horizontal box gold. I want to drop that here. And then this is our horizontal box sites. And then the other one we're going to want is our supply, which we don't have yet. So I'm going to take these two, I'm just going to move them into this one. So it's going to be messy as we go here, but I don't want to alter these because these are already set up, you know, like the right bindings and stuff. So I want to keep those. So this would be horizontal box farms and then horizontal box mines. Coming up with this player name. Right now, this is a horizontal box. Okay, yeah, so this is probably, yeah, this is fine, right? And then the only thing in the box is a player name, but that'll take up all the space. So what we need to do is one of these new ones, like this. This would be our horizontal box, call it supply. I'm going to move this up here. And then this image, we need to grab our supply. And I'm doing the 3-barrel. So let's drag this in. Boom. And we'll work on the scaling for these after. So we got sites, gold, supply. That'll be our top row. And then this bottom, we've got our farms, our mines. I'm going to call it this one keeps. Then again, this image, we will switch with a keep icon. Boom. And then this one, I think I can just delete. Perfect. And then I think for all three of these, let's see if we do fill horizontal and fill. It's actually a fill middle middle, fill middle middle. Okay. Although, yeah, okay. And then we can come back, click out, and our width, might be able to scale this in a little bit. 175, 150 is going to be too close. Do 175, and I think I can etch this height in a little bit. 110, 175 by 110. Okay. And then is this all aligned? Actually, this does get a little scrunched. So let's just go back to Yeah, 200's fine. Okay. Um, and so I think maybe both of these are fill and then horizontal alignment. Get the images set up. And I kind of want like this number fill vertically. Sorry, just trying to play around with whatever would get us. Yeah, okay, let's do. I guess I got to click on these individually. Okay, so I'm gonna do fill vertically for all these actually, and then we'll do the alignment actually within it. I don't know, I get OCD about this stuff, but I like it. I want this all be lined up. So then this text, we can set this to fill middle. Same with this fill middle. Grab all of these, fill middle. Okay, now that's really nicely aligned. Now let's double check our bindings. Number of sacred sites, that's good. Gold, good. Supply, we don't have a binding for. Keeps, we don't have. Number of farms, number of mines, we don't. So let's come back into our graph. So this number of mines, we just duplicate this and call this number of keeps. And I gotta remember where and how are we setting all this? Just bindings. Let's see, update number of mines. And what runs this? Sorry, I just gotta remind myself. So in our game mode, we have a function update player card. That this runs every time a player is capturing a tile. And what this does is it loops all the player controllers, and then has the player controllers basically delete all their current player cards and then add in new player cards based off all the other player controllers. So just trying to remember how we did that. So that all works well. What I don't like though, I'm going to capture some um, tiles here. All right, so we still have to do our binding, try to logically the things we have set up works, but this is super scrunched. So we're going to need to make this a lot taller, I think. And then this player list will probably have to come down to like here. So to do that, let's go back into our player code. And we're going to make this height 50. And then I'm going to grab all of these size boxes for our images. And the width will probably become a problem, but let's try 50 by 50. And then this is going to have to become, I don't know, 250? Yeah, something like that. Okay. And back to the HUD. I assume this is going to have to be taller, but I guess we can see first. Okay, so I think the problem is actually in our HUD, in the player card border. I don't think it's not big enough, right? So we're adding it, the player cards as a child to this vert box, which has some padding, and I think that's what's scrunching it. So our player card dimensions are 250 by 150, and we want to have four of them, right? Maximum players is four. So we at least need a width in our border of 250 and a height of 150 times 4 is 600. But the other thing we got to take into consideration is we have this padding of 5, so it really adds 10 all around. So hopefully you follow me, but our size then would need to be 250 plus our padding of 5 on the left, 5 on the right. So it would be 260. And then our height would have to be 150 times 4, which is 60, plus our padding of 10, which is 610. Fix our position minus just 260, and our Y position should be good. So now let's check this out. Ugh, but it's not. It's still scrunched. Why is this happening? Okay, so in our player card, we have this width height of 250, 150. Then we have the size box with these overrides. I think if I just turn those off, it should just inherit this. So let's try this again. Boom. Okay, much better. Um, Yeah, so now this I think looks a lot better. It might need to be a little bit wider. Like you can see um, some clipping here. So just make it another width of maybe 10. So back into our, actually, yeah, let's just go player card 260 width. And then into our HUD, let's go 270 and minus 270. Okay. File, save, compile, save. And one more time. And maybe even a little bit continues the clip. Um, so I'm going to go 270 and then minus 280 and 280 for the size. Hmm. It's like very incremental, but okay. I think that looks better. Um, now it takes up a huge part of the screen, which I don't know. We could revisit this, right? Because what you could do is in the bottom right could be like your player card, where you display all six of these. Then the top right, you could do like a more simplified, where maybe it just shows this top row, just to keep it a little bit smaller. Um, those are ideas. You can also get rid of the player name, right? Because you really care more about the colors, but we'll keep this for now, and maybe we do something different with it later. So what we need to do next, back in our player card, is actually create bindings for the keep and the supply. So we are doing this via function right now. So I'm going to duplicate our update gold and call this update supply. And I'm going to also duplicate our gold variable, call this supply, if I could spell, and then alt drag this in to set it and pass this through like this. And then clicking on this function, instead of an input of gold, call it supply. Okay. And then next we need a number of keeps. I'm just going to grab our update number of mines, update number of keeps, and then duplicate our number of mines text to number of keeps. I forget why we did this as, one sec, what is causing the issue? Oh, number of keeps. How is this name already in use, and where is it in use? Okay, so I guess I had a variable for this. I just don't think we're actually using it for anything. Okay, so we'll delete the one we just made then. Um, and we can just drag this into our function. And this, plug in this, and then click on the function and replace number of mines with number of keeps. But anyways, I don't remember exactly why we made this a text variable instead of a number, um, but it works either way. I mean, or instead of an integer, um, we do things with it later, so it's no biggie. But you could do an integer instead. Now we got a separate binding, so this should be number of keeps. Just double check these farms, mines. Ooh, our supply. I don't want to be 0 of 3. Yeah, okay. Then this will be supply, and this should be gold, and this should be circuit sites. Okay, perfect. So we have all these bindings set up correctly and functions for them. I think now what we need to do is add these into our S player info. So if you remember, this is a structure we created. That is your player name, your player index, sites, mines, farms. I think we should add in gold probably and supply and number of keeps. I see that we do have a gold variable. We aren't using it anywhere. Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to delete that. So let's find this structure. See, I think this is a main blueprints. Here we go, S player. And I'm going to add in 2 more. Call this first one own keeps. And then I'm gonna add gold and supply to here. Then our HUD widget, let's go into the graph, refresh all nodes, compile save. PC turn-based, refresh all nodes, compile and save. Then our game mode, refresh all nodes, compile, save. Okay. Now, when we come back into our player controller, so we get this event from the game mode to clear our player cards and then add a player card for each of the players in the game. And then we add that on our client and we pass his player info structure. And now you can see that in here, but you can see us setting up wrong where these are booleans, not integers. So let's come back into the structure, switch this to int, int, int. Let's see that into HUD. Yeah, now let's pulse through. And then we just got to plug in these events. So, or functions, rather. So let's grab our, actually, and these come from our player card. So I'm going to drag this over. We need some more space. And so the first one we need to add is number, let's see, keeps. Yep, update number of keeps. I'm trying to remember how our gold, update gold. Oh, and we never plugged in update gold. Okay, no problem. And then, but we do already have the function here, which is good. And then supply, update supply. Okay, and then we can plug this in. Now let's drag these over. So let's grab our gold first. Set that like that, and then our number of keeps. And then our supply. Okay, good. I don't know why I have this node here. Okay, so this should get everything updated. And now it's actually, what we want to do next is actually start calculating, right, these variables. So one thing we probably want to decide is, or by default, do you start with any gold? I'm leaning towards no, no gold to start. So staying at zero is fine. But you should start with supply. Um, and that is because, when we do our econ? Yeah, econ. Let's see. I forget where do we do the, it's just hard coded. Yeah, 3 and 1. Let me check something. Yeah, so I don't know if we finished setting up this econ gain actually. And I'm just kind of thinking about this a little bit more. So, right, the farms give supply, mines give gold, right? That all makes sense. The keep gives both. These are bound to variables, which all makes sense. This is a text variable. Okay. And these aren't, they're just hard coded right now, which is probably fine because we'll normally only ever have one keep. But what if in the future we decide that there will be neutral keeps that you can capture, or your keep somehow gets captured itself? So I think we should make um, these variables. And then the other thing I'm thinking about is we have two gold calculations and two supply calculations, right? If this was your setup where you had two farms, two mines, and a keep, you'd actually be getting um, 5 supply and 4 gold. Although, let's see, you get 2 gold, or no, you get 2 supply per farm, 1 gold per mine. So yeah, this would actually, Yeah, so this would be for whatever. So, right, either way, right, you have multiple outputs. So we should probably have a total. So I think I'm going to do that first, actually, down here at the bottom. So let me just kind of condense this a little bit. Is that another row? Oops, let's change them. Add another row in here that would just be your total. So to do that, I'm just going to copy this horizontal box, paste it here. The other thing I want to do is these two horizontal boxes, these don't need to be filled. We can just set these to auto. I think we can do the same for this one too, just set to auto. And then this we can set to fill. And we're going to change a lot about this. I don't think we, see, the only thing I really want is, I'm going to take all of these. Let's see. So yeah, I'll just take both of these horizontal boxes, which are these are in this vert box now. I'm just going to move them up to here. And then I'm going to delete this other stuff. So this will be our totals. And yeah, these should stay as horizontal boxes. I set them to fill, center, center. And then these size boxes, let's make these a little bit bigger. 150 by 150. Right, so this will be the total. All right, so this kind of shows by component what's giving you what, and then this will show you the total you're getting um, from this round. So we then need to add in some new variables. So I'm going to take this number of farms, I'm going to duplicate this number of keeps, and drag this up. Then I'm going to call this supply farms, right? Gold mines. Duplicate this, gold keeps, and duplicate this to supply keeps. Right, so then this, right, because you're getting supply from two different sources, you're getting gold from two different sources. Um, we're not compiling, so yeah, the solution of our bindings, it's no problem. Um, so we're going to differentiate this. I'm going to do this again, and then supply total new, we'll call this, and duplicate, and gold total underscore new. Okay. And then we have, yeah, and then we'll have to make some, right, so this is text new gold. I'm going to call this text gold mines. I'm actually just going to copy this. And then this one, I'm going to call this text gold keep. And I'll actually do, oops, keeps plural, just in case we ever get plural. And then this one, we'll do keeps gold total and make that variable. And later on, we can add in like some animations, like show this verse and this, or all these, right? We can do some fun things later. Okay, so now let's check all of our bindings. Number farms, good. This should be supply farms. Number mines, good. This, yeah, these texts we'll do later. This should be supply from keeps. This should be number of keeps. And then this will be supply total new. Okay, now we're compiled. So on the event construct, I'm actually going to make a function. We'll just call this total supply and gold. And I'm just going to cut this, paste it into here. Whoops, paste it into our new function. And then off our event graph, off the construction standards. I'm just doing this to, right, just consolidate things, or else we start having a long line of code coming off this and it just gets messy. And so we'll dump it into a function and it makes it a bit easier. And we do our math outside the system. So I'm going to refresh all nodes. So we have an issue here where, right, we need to start filling these in. So our owned mines times 1 would be the gold mines. And then for the farms, this would be the supply farms. We're going to need write some stuff for the keep. So I'm going to duplicate this owned mines. I'm going to call this owned keeps. Drag this up. Should start really categorizing these actually. Um, yeah, maybe we should do that. So let's put a category of this of owned tiles. Uh, Drag all these into there. You can also come here, go to categories, own tiles, and own tiles. Keeps this a little bit more organized. I want this player info up at the top. I'm actually gonna make another category too. I'm gonna call these refs or references. So we've got like our HUD reference, game mode reference, and move this up above too. Um, yeah, all this is fine. Okay, I'll close that. So we're gonna have to fill this in too, but let's get this, and then similarly get our length, and off of this length we're actually going to do multiplying twice. So what we decided in the previous video in our econ game was the keep would give you 3 supply and 1 gold. So we come back to our player controller, do our keep times 3 and our keep times 1, and keep this like that. So first, this length will be our number of keeps, and then this will be our supply from keeps, and this will be our gold from keeps. And then back in our econ, well, let me think about this. I was going to say we don't need these to expose on spawn because we'll just calculate it in the widget. But we actually need to know this in the player controller, right? Because these will be important, right? What is our new supply and how much new gold do we have coming in? So I might actually just calculate it in the player controller. So let's do that. I'm going to make myself a little bit more space, and then I'm just going to try to clean this up a little bit because I hate how messy this looks. Let's drag this out of the way. And I don't know if this is going to look a lot better. There's just so much going on, but try to clean it up a little bit at least. Yeah, I don't know if that's a lot better, but might be a little bit. So we could collapse. Actually, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to select all this and right click and then collapse to function. We'll call this function uh, add econ gain widget. So it's important to keep this event, right? Because to access a HUD, you need to run it on the client, right? And so that's what this event does. It runs on the owning client, and then it will run this function. So we don't want to run this function directly from the server because the server can't access the client. But again, right, just putting this into a function just makes this a little bit cleaner. Um, so all of this, again, I'm going to drag this over because what we really need to do coming off this supply total, this will be a plus, and what we'll be taking is our supply from farms and supply from keeps, and the same for our gold. This is where this just sucks so bad to work with because it's so ugly. Um, is there a way we can like, so we have supplies first. Yeah, it's just gonna be what it is. Okay, so here's our supply from the keeps. So go like this, plug this in, and then our own farms. And this number, plug this in, make some reroute nodes. Bring this up. Supply keeps go like this. Okay, so there's our supply. And then for our, I think, sorry, this isn't a very maybe fun video to watch, but um, I got to get this organized. Really for no other reason than it's just bugging the hell out of me. Bring this up. Maybe I can straighten, straighten, and straighten. Bring this back a little bit. And then this is our supply coming in from our keeps. Good. This is the gold coming from our keep. Okay, so this will plug into here. Oops. And reroute this like this. And then the last piece we need is gold from mines. Just gonna bring this down. Good. Okay. Still a maze, but maybe a little bit more organized. Okay. So the other thing we want to do in this function is back in our event graph, I'm going to make a new function called, so custom, or not a function, a custom event. And this will be, I'm just going to call this Econ right now. I want to see, because we have Econ gain server. So actually I'm going to change this to Econ gain WB for widget server, and then Econ gain underscore WB client. Because these two events specifically only handle the widget, and then we'll do econ gain server. And then this should run on the server and be reliable. And then what we'll do is we'll get our player info and make sure player info is replicated. Set members. And the two members we want to set in here are gold and supply. And actually I want to do one more thing to break off this. Because the supply doesn't get added to. The supply is always just the supply, right? It's like if you have one supply and then the next round you have one supply, you don't now have two supply. Supply is always it's not compounding, I guess might be the word. Unlike gold, right? If you start the turn with 5 gold and then you get 3 more gold, now you're gonna have 8 gold. So for the supply, we'll just be able to pass through supply. But for gold, we have to add it to our existing gold. So to do that, we have to get what that gold is. So we'll break this, and the only thing I want as a pin is gold. And then what I'll do is come up this plus, and I'm going to connect this to the event. So this will be new gold, we'll call it. So we'll take our new gold and add that to our existing gold, and I'll set that as our new gold. And for supply, this will simply just plug in and will be called new supply. Right? We don't need to do a plus thing here because this new calculated supply value will just always override whatever our old supply was. And then I don't know if this is necessary, but I always do it because I've had issues before. But after we set the members, I'm going to reset our player info. Right, so this looks a little bit like duplicated, but I don't know. This is the only way I ever get this stuff to be able to stick. Okay, and so then back into our add econ gain widget. Once we're done with this, we can do econ gain server. And then this would be our new gold. And this is our new supply. Reroute this like this. Okay, good. And then as a good practice, at the end of functions, when you know you're done, add a return node. It's not really important in this specific instance, but it's just a good practice. So we'll do that. Okay. I think this is really good. I think the only thing. Oh, and then we need to get this into our HUD, specifically our player card. So kind of want to really want to rerun the same logic we have, but this is coming from the game mode today, update player cards. So let's come back into this event and then let's get our game mode reference. Get this, whoop, that's set. Another good practice is to use validated gets. This should be valid, but if it's not, it'll bug out if you don't do a validated get. Anyways, so off this, we'll do add player, what was it? Player cards, update player cards. And then off this invalid, I'm going to do get game mode and cast to GM, turn-based game mode. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space. Or, actually, practice what I preach. I'm just going to grab all this and collapse this into a function. And we will call this function complete econ game. These guys screwed up. New gold and new supply. Again, right, this should just keep things organized and not make our event graph too messy. And this should only run from the server, so that's all fine and good. So then if this is not valid, then we'll set this cast. Plug this into here, and then I'm actually going to replace this reference with this. Oops. So this nice little failsafe, if for whatever reason we can't get our game mode, or it's not valid, became invalid somehow, then we re-get it here, and then update the player cards. Okay, and so our biggest missing piece then of information to kind of wrap this up is when we do our add econ gain widget piece, we currently aren't setting this own keeps anywhere. So that's what we need to do next. I believe that comes from our game mode. So I know it's a good general opportunity for us. So basically, right, when we capture a tile, right, we've got these three functions in our game mode where, right, you check who owns, what, and then, right, adds it to the player and then updates the player cards, right? Makes sense. What's missing, though, is, well, what if you start with owning tiles, right? We had our maps by default set up where you really only own the keep and the tile that you have units starting on. But as we develop more maps, maybe we change that. So what I did in my CSV for the table is I just assigned some of these farms and mines, this farm and a mine somewhere down here, to player 1, which is index 0. Because this is something we need to solve for, and it will be a part of our keep thing, right? But as you can see, they own this farm, and this mine, just by default for testing purposes. But this isn't updated on their widget. Right now, if we brought this dude all the way up, now it runs the function, which would find all three of the farms, and then we'd have to capture, let's see if we capture this mine. Right now it finds we own both these mines. So all that to say is we should do this at the beginning of the game, right, to just capture those instances if applicable. So what we're going to do in our game mode is, right, we have this logon stuff, right, and then we check, do we have the right number of players in the game? If that is true, then we start the game and update our player cards, which I think we might be able to get rid of this, but we'll see. So off of this is where we'll implement this logic. So when we kind of drill into one of these events, like let's look at our check farm one, right? So what we're doing is getting all of our player controllers, clearing right the owned farms they think they have, and then resetting it, right? So then we're grabbing all of our farm tiles, which is a variable that we already set up for keeps. Then for each loop, we're checking, is this tile assigned to something other than neutral, which is 9? If true, add that farm to the player controller. And once complete, set the number of farms, and then update player cards. So we need this logic implemented in our player controller. So change number of farms. So I'm just gonna copy our farm one, paste it down here. It's gonna bug out, but that's fine. And we'll switch our comment to change number of keeps. And then I want to follow similar naming conventions. So this would be server. So we'll do remove owned keeps. And I should have done this with the other ones, but I always like ending server events with server, client with client, multicast with MC. So I'll do that here. And we're not removing our own farms. We're going to be removing remove an item. And it would be our keep. Just get rid of this. Get rid of this. Boom. Boom. Okay. And this one, the next one would be add owned keep. And again, server, reliable. I do want to add that into here. Server. And this would be removed owned keep, not keeps. Straighten this out. And straighten this out. And shouldn't be farms. Their own keeps. Add unique. Boom. I think this would be set, yeah, set number. So this would be set number of keeps. And again, on the server, this time plural, server, run on server and reliable. Straighten this out. Then we will get our own keeps. And we just need the length. Boom. And lastly would be cleared, or would be clear owned keeps. And again, server, and then have this run on server and reliable. Straighten this. And then make sure you're replacing farm with keeps. So our own keeps and clear. This is reliable. Okay. Good. So move on keeps, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then on this player info, we don't want to set our own farms. We're going to set our own keeps. Boom. Okay. Now back into the game mode. I'm going to duplicate this check farm owners and do check keep owners. Okay. And so then what we'll do is for each of our players, we will clear owned keeps. Server. And then we're going to do a for each loop on the variable, which is tiles keeps. Okay. And then we'll check, right, are those not neutral? And then get the player controller that would own it. And then if true, add owned keep server. Plug in this, delete the farm one. And then down here, this would be set number of keeps server. Boom. Okay, good. So basically what we're going to do is when we start the game, we're going to run all four of these, right? Just to check if anybody starts with anything. The problem here, though, is each of these runs the update player cards. And we're running the update player cards, which is actually fine here, so I'm not going to touch this. But what I don't want to have happen, right, is we plug in all four of these events or functions, and then we do add player cards, add player cards, add player cards, add player cards 4 times, right? Because that's just super inefficient and unneeded. So what I'm going to do instead is in each of these functions, we're going to add a new input. It'll be of type Boolean, and it'll be update cards question mark. And I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to do this for all 3 of these. Okay. And so now let's drag all these in. And I'm going to keep these as false. Oh, wait a minute. Shoot, not add. Sorry. Remove all this. We need this on the check. Dang it. Shouldn't break anything though. Delete, compile, save. On these check is where we need this. So Boolean, boom, update cards, Boolean, or input new Boolean. And okay. Now we can drag all these out. And we want these to be false except on our keep. Right? So basically all of these will run and then we will update our cards. And there's just one more thing I want to check. Right, and what I didn't do in here is, again, I didn't do return nodes, and we will absolutely want return nodes here. So we'll do that here in a bit. So in our check farms, so at the very end, right, we want all this run, and we're going to do a boolean or a branch. So B, left click. Off of this complete, and then the true, we're going to check, is this marked as true? So if this is not marked as true, then we won't update player cards. If it is marked as true, then we will. And then come off this and then return node. And I want my false to also connect to the return node, but it'll just bypass this. So that's what this Boolean does for us, is allows us to skip this when we want to and not skip it when we don't. So I'm actually going to copy this. Now when we come into here, I can delete this, paste, plug that in, just drag this over a bit. Good. And come into our check mine. Oops. And plug in this. And this. And for our keep, this, and this. Okay. So the way that the sequence is important here, just for where you check it, right? You can do any of these checks in any order you want, but your last one should have this check true, and the other should not. The other thing we need to check here quick is where else are we running these functions, right? So we've just added it here and here. I know these are being run somewhere else. Okay, it looks like our controller might be. Yeah, okay. So coming to our controller. This is a good piece too. So this is our controller check tile type, which when we move our units to a new tile, we run this function, which just checks the tile type, right? So we're taking a tile, right? Instead of running this to the game mode. So this is actually good that we're here because we get to do this for our keep too. So just gonna drag this down, maybe over a little bit. Then we'll grab our game mode and check keep owners. Boom. And boom. Okay. And so for all of these, we need to have a Boolean update cards checked. because these are singular events, right? So it's not going to run 4 times if it does have the event start. So these should all be true by default, or not necessarily by default, but for this function. Okay, let's come back into our player card. These are all false. Okay, this should now work. So let's come back in. Great. So I can see, right, both players have a keep. I'll bring my client in, right? He's showing a keep, and Bob, blue player, he's got 2 farms and a mine, and the client can see that. So that's working exactly how we've intended it. And then I think, let me shrink this down a little bit. So let's end some turns. Econ gain. So he's got 2 farms, so he's getting 4 supply from that. He's got 1 mine, so he's getting 2 gold from that. He's got 1 keep, so he's getting 3 supply and 1 gold. So we sum these 4 plus 3 is 7. This is not correct. This should be 3. And then let me just check the other side. Yeah, so something's up with the gold, and we've got an error here. Trying to read add keep to server. Access none, trying to read. Okay, let me reset this. I just want to see if this error comes up. Look, it comes right in off of the start. Okay, I found the error. So we have this, right, this map's set for 4 players. We're only testing it with 2. So what's happening is it's finding the keeps for the other 2 players that are in the game, player 3 and player 4. But they don't exist, so it can't find this. So all I'm going to do is just add in an is valid here. And then off our true, plug that in, and then off of our valid, do this. And that should get rid of this pesky error. Good. Okay. So now let's flip back to our player card. No, not our player card, econ gain. And then in our graph, oh yeah, we never did this. This is off of the construct. Actually, I'm surprised any of our gold was correct, but the defaults just happened to be. So we can duplicate this, or copy and paste it 3 times, right? And then one of them will be text for mines, text gold keeps, and then text gold total. And this will be pretty simple. So this, instead of calling this total supply, let's just call this set gold text. So the first one we'll do is our text from gold mines, and this would be text gold mines. Makes sense. Next, we can do our text from keeps, but instead of gold mines, we need gold keeps. And then lastly, we need our gold total, and this would be gold total. Okay. Now let's test this out. And 2, 7. Yeah, okay. Yep, that makes sense because we have gold. Keeps only giving me 1 gold, and the mines only give me 1 gold. And on the other side, they're only getting 1 because they don't have mine. Beautiful. And actually, this flowed through to our HUD really well. So let's try this again. We got some widget work to do, but right, we added another 2, so you might not be able to see this very well. What I'm checking is, right, our supply is still 7. We just added another 2, now we have 4. And so our client, he's got one. When I end this guy's turn, this should go from 1 to 2, and it does for both. So all that to say, the logic is working great. You got to get rid of this widget, right? Um, we should really add a button at the bottom for that. I think I'll do that in the next video because this one's getting pretty long. But this was good, right? So Econ is continuing to chug along. We've got our logic all built out. It's plugging into here. It's going into our player info structure, so our player controller knows how much gold they have. Right, we'll clean up this widget in the next video, and then I think we can actually get into starting to buy units, which will be a really fun part. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Hope this all made sense. If it didn't, leave a comment, or even better, join the Discord, and I can really help you out a lot better there than via YouTube comments. I'll put a link in that below. But yeah, thanks for watching.